The year is 1972, and the space shuttle program just launched. Richard Nixon is president of the United States. The Godfather is released worldwide, and the world population is just under 4 billion people. 1972 is also the year that Dr. Edwin Land decided to debut the Polaroid SX-70. A square format, single lens reflex instant film camera with manual focus controls, exposure compensation, and a body that compacts down to the size that has been described to me as a large flask. A camera that boasts a leather exterior with chrome accents that creates images considered by most to be hit or miss. But what is undeniable is the character and charm present in the images that it creates. In today's video, I'd like to show you some footage of me walking around Park Avenue, shooting some of my first images with this camera.
It's probably the easiest loading process compared to every other film camera I have right now. Just pop that in, make sure it's all good. And then you're ready to shoot again. Oh, that look good. So every time I open up this Polaroid, I have to remember to put this exposure dial down, because this is actually metering for 100 ASA film, and the film that's out now for this camera is actually 160, so yeah. But I really like this dapple light from these flowers, so I want to see if I can get something like that. And so, 3, 2, 1. Something I really want to get is the frog tongue, just so I don't have to immediately put the Polaroid right in my pocket, because apparently for the first couple seconds that it comes out, it's still sensitive to light. So that's something I want to get in the future, but I haven't really noticed any problems with it so far, so I think we'll be good. So at first glance, I look at this and I'm like, I really want to take a photo of it, but every time I want to take a picture of anything with this, I kind of second guess it, just because a pack of 8 photos is 20 bucks. So every shot counts. Set the exposure meter. There's lots of lights and darks in this picture, so, and I'm trying to get the no parking me and then these stairs on the left. So I like this composition. All right, bombs away. Put your chin down a little bit. Oh, I like this. This is nice. And just make sure the exposure, that's the one thing that gets me about this, is that I have to put the exposure meter down every single time. You look surprised. All right, and 3, 2, 1. Great. Let's go. I really want to shoot stuff like those flags over there, but with the exposure latitude of Polaroid film, I'm just kind of worried that it's actually even going to be able to get anything on it. So I'm tempted to shoot it, but also money. So yeah. You know, no. Hopefully I don't overexpose this one. I just feel so weary about shooting and overexposing with this film. So, see that? Look at that. Gorgeous. Can't debate whether or not I want to get the whole car. 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2. I think we're done with Park Ave for today. So we're gonna see if we take any more pictures anywhere else, but if not, I think we've gotten some pretty cool stuff, and we'll look at it tomorrow, because usually these photos take about 24 hours to like fully be done. It's like a full day, because even a day from now, when you take the photo, it kind of looks a little different than from when you first took it. And even after 15 minutes after the developing happened, we'll see what happens, but I think we got some good stuff. I really enjoy using this SX-70, and I'm so glad that it works, because I really thought it wasn't going to. And for the deal that I got it for, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, let's go review these photos, so I'll see you later.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. Using this camera, just walking around, is probably one of the most pleasant experiences I've had when using a camera in quite a while. It's just so much fun to just walk around and not only take photos, but then just the excitement of seeing them develop right as you take them, and just being able to see what you got just minutes later was quite addicting. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously the price is, not addicting, but I'd like to take this time to just kind of look back at the images that we created from that day, as well as some images that I've made since then with the camera and the film, and just kind of dissect my experience with the film and the camera as a whole. I have a lot of notes about the film just in general, since I feel like it's so much different of an experience than using something like color negative film. A lot of the points that I'm going to make can be either perceived as a positive or a negative, but really it's kind of up to you and the limitations that that this film has when you go into shooting it. Polaroid Originals, or Polaroid now, manufactures all the Polaroid film that you see in stores, like 600 and I-type film. They also make SX-70 film, which is a little bit, I guess, more rare to come upon, because really you can only buy it from either their website or from like a local camera store if you have one. Luckily I do have one, so that's where I picked up my film from. And so my thoughts are really just on the SX-70 film itself. It's really not very light sensitive at all, and combine that with a lens that's f8, gotta shoot this in pretty well lit conditions. But I've used it in situations where I felt like it wasn't going to perform that well, and I'm still pretty pleased with the results. It seems like Polaroid film in general tends to lean into these color shifts depending on your weather conditions and how hot or cold it is. I've noticed that it's either really magenta, really warm, or really blue, and it was kind of hard to predict when that was going to happen, but generally speaking, I try to take that into account when shooting the photo, kind of expecting it to either be leaning towards one color shift or another. There's also a lot of bloom and like softness to the images. I wouldn't say any particular photo that I took that day or since then is really sharp. Really, the experience of using Polaroid is you holding the physical film in your hand, and when you're holding it, it seems plenty sharp enough to me. It's just, I guess, when you scan it, the scanner is really getting into detail, and there's not a ton of sharp detail to get, so then it kind of makes the photos look like a bit softer, if that makes any sense. The SX-70 film that's made today, I've noticed, has very little dynamic range as well. So as I'm shooting, I tend to try and stay away from really high contrast areas unless I know it's going to work in my favor, like the subject is very bright in comparison to the background, like the images of the flowers that I took. But if the same thing is happening vice versa, maybe I wouldn't take the photo, because the main subject that I would want to be exposed properly will be really dark, and then whatever's really blown out will be the primary subject in the photo. I think the color that comes out of Polaroid film isn't very true to life, and that's totally okay. I don't really expect it to be true to life. I kind of shoot every photo expecting it to be very different than what I'm seeing currently with my own eyes. And that's part of the fun, I think, with shooting Polaroid film, is that there's like this nostalgic, surrealistic look to the color when they finally get developed. I think in all the imperfections with this film breed surprises, and I think that keeps shooting this camera interesting because you never fully know exactly what you're going to get when you're using this. And while that could be scary for most people, I kind of thrive on having a bunch of different options. And pretty much with color negative film, if I meter correctly, I know exactly what I'm going to get, and that's great. But I think the element of surprise is nice to have with Polaroid film. As far as the camera body itself, I don't really have any complaints. And the complaints that I do have, they did fix in later models. I just didn't get those later models. Like, I wish I had strap lugs so I'd be able to just carry the camera with a camera strap, or have a tripod thread, like a 1/4-20 thread on the mount, but I don't have that as well. But in later SX-70 models, they did incorporate that. So it's not really a con, because I knew that going into this camera. Other than that, I really only have positive things to say about it. The sound of the shutter and also just the motors ejecting the film is pretty addicting as well. I also love the fact that I can see the exact image that I'm going to take as I'm taking it, since I'm looking directly through the lens. And the fact that there's a split prism in there to help with focusing is a warm welcome as well. Again, this isn't a camera that I think you use professionally. It's not a camera you use professionally. It's really just something that I'm going to want to bring with me on my shoots to get extra photos. And if we get something cool, we do. If not, like, it's totally cool. Sometimes I wish cameras like this were still made today. The images themselves have a lot of character and charm, and I think the camera does too. And those are just things that I really appreciate, and I wish were still made today, but I'm glad that I'm still able to use tools that are like this, that are 50 years old. All in all, I would say that my experience using the SX-70 was pretty great. Very fun camera to use, and I will definitely be using it more in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.